Okay, imagine this. The sudden sound, chaos erupting somewhere you thought was safe. Maybe the sharp crack of gunfire in a parking lot.
Or maybe you're at a red light and suddenly someone's trying to carjack you.
Exactly. In that split second, that heart-stopping moment, what's your first instinct for protection?
Well, usually it's to get behind something solid, right? And these days, in cities, towns, that something is very often a car or a truck.
So today, we're not just talking about the daily commute. We're doing a real deep dive into using vehicles, specifically as cover and concealment when, frankly, your life could depend on it.
Yeah, this is serious stuff. We need to understand what actually works.
Forget the Hollywood scenes, where cars seem bulletproof. Our mission today, and we're drawing heavily from Valortech Firearms training materials here, is to really break down the truth. What part of your vehicle can actually shield you?
We want to give you the knowledge that, well, it could make all the difference.
And it all starts with one fundamental idea, doesn't it?
Yep.
Something that sounds simple, but is critical in a crisis.
Absolutely. The difference between cover and concealment. Understanding this is paramount.
Okay, let's get right into that. Cover versus concealment. In a life or death situation, what do those terms really mean for someone listening?
It's pretty straightforward, but crucial. Cover is something that physically stops bullets. It gives you actual ballistic protection.
Well, it's okay.
Concealment, though, just hides you. It blocks the attacker's view, breaks their line of sight, but it offers zero protection from incoming fire.
Right, so one stops the threat, the other just makes you invisible, maybe temporarily.
Exactly. One saves you from the bullet, the other just hides you from the bullet, which won't help if it hits anyway.
So ducking behind, say, some bushes, that's concealment. They can't see you, maybe?
But it won't stop anything.
Yeah. And knowing that difference seems absolutely basic when you think about places packed with vehicles.
It is fundamental. Because vehicles are everywhere, they're the obvious thing to go for. But the key question is, what parts actually provide that cover and what parts just give you a false and potentially deadly sense of security?
Okay, let's dissect the vehicle then. We see them every day, drive them, but rarely think about them ballistically. What parts actually work? Where should you try to get behind?
Well, based on the Valortech training, the single most reliable part of a typical vehicle for stopping bullets is the engine block.
The engine. Makes sense. It's dense, lots of metal.
Exactly. It's a solid mass of metal. Positioning yourself behind that engine block gives you the highest odds of actual protection.
Right. That's the primary target area for cover. What if you can't get to the front? Are there secondary spots?
Yeah, there are secondary options. Think about the wheel wells and the axles. They often have thicker metal than, say, the doors.
Okay, wheel wells and axles.
They're not as good as the engine block, definitely not. But if you can't reach the engine, they can offer some protection, a better position than being completely exposed.
Now, this is where I think a lot of people might get it wrong, probably because of movies. What about car doors? Or the trunk? They look solid.
Ah, yes. The classic movie trope. This is critical. Car doors, trunks, they're mostly thin sheet metal. Very thin.
They're not bulletproof.
Not even close. For most common handgun or rifle rounds, they might stop some very small caliber rounds or maybe some fragments, but relying on them, that's a huge gamble, a potentially fatal one.
So all those scenes, people hiding behind doors, shooting back, that's just fantasy.
Largely, yes. It's dangerous fiction because it looks plausible. Doors offer concealment. Sure, they hide you, but protection, negligible.
Wow. Okay. And what about glass? Windows, windshields?
Same principle, maybe even more obvious, but crucial in a panic. Glass stops nothing.
Right. It just shatters.
Exactly. It breaks, maybe sends sharp fragments flying, which is another hazard, but it offers zero ballistic resistance. Trying to use glass for cover is, well, it's pointless and adds risk.
This definitely paints a much clearer and, frankly, a more serious picture. Knowing which parts work is vital. So let's apply this. Let's take a scenario. Parking lot, you hear gunfire. Active shooter. What are the immediate practical steps using your vehicle?
Okay. First step is always situational awareness, right? Scan, identify the threat if possible, and identify the best available cover. If your vehicle is right there, the goal is get to that engine block, fast but safely.
Get low behind the engine.
Get low, use the engine itself as your shield. From there, you've bought yourself some protection, some time maybe, then you assess what's happening. Where's the threat? Can I escape? Can I call for help?
Clear, actionable advice. Okay, different scenario. Carjacking, you're stopped, maybe at a light, you're trapped inside. How does this knowledge help then?
That's tougher, obviously. If you can't immediately drive away, your options inside are limited. But thinking about cover, Getting down low in the footwell might use the engine block or the wheel wells indirectly.
So leveraging those lower, stronger parts of the chassis?
Potentially, yes. It might offer a slightly less exposed position compared to just sitting upright in the seat. But honestly, in a carjacking, the primary goal has to be de-escalation or escape if a safe chance appears. Cover inside the car is very temporary, very limited.
It's really about minimizing exposure while you figure out the next move.
Exactly. Escape or compliance are often the main strategies there. Cover is secondary and difficult inside.
And we need to stress, based on the Valortec principles, relying only on the vehicle has serious limits. Even the engine block isn't like magic, right?
No, absolutely not. It's the best part, the most reliable. But high-powered rifle rounds, for instance, can potentially penetrate even an engine block. And like we said, the rest of the car, doors, roof, trunk, minimal protection. You cannot assume you're totally safe just because you're behind a car.
That false sense of security is dangerous.
Very.
And then there's the physics of it all. Ricochets, bullets bouncing.
Yeah.
How big a risk is that around vehicles?
It's a significant risk. Vehicles have lots of hard angled surfaces. Metal, pavement underneath. Bullets hitting those can deflect in completely unpredictable ways.
So you could be behind the engine block, technically covered, but a ricochet could still get you.
It's possible, yes. That's why positioning matters. Getting low, staying tight to the cover, understanding the angles. It helps mitigate but doesn't eliminate the ricochet hazard.
And the other obvious issue, mobility. Once you're behind a car for cover, you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
How does training address that?
That's a huge part of good tactical training. Staying static, pinned down behind a vehicle, is rarely a winning strategy long term.
Right, you might need to move.
You often do need to move. Training teaches you how to balance cover and movement, how to move between pieces of cover, how to use the vehicle's footprint strategically and critically, when and how to disengage safely if your position becomes untenable.
So the vehicle is a tool, a temporary advantage, not a permanent bunker.
Precisely. It's a tactical asset to be used intelligently, not a fortress.
We focused a lot on cover-stopping bullets. But Valortec also talks about the strategic use of concealment. When might just hiding, even without ballistic protection, be the better call?
Sometimes avoiding detection is the best defense. Think about situations like widespread civil unrest, or maybe lower intensity threats like people throwing rocks or debris.
Okay, so if it's not direct gunfire aimed at you, but general chaos.
Exactly. In those cases, using a vehicle simply to break the line of sight, to stay hidden, to put distance and an object between you and the potential threat, that can be incredibly effective. It prevents you from becoming a target in the first place.
Buys you time, lets you maybe assess and get away without ever needing ballistic cover.
Right. It's about choosing the right tactic for the specific threat. Sometimes concealment is the tactic.
Okay, let's try and summarize this a bit. Looking at the big picture, what are the main pros and cons of using vehicles in these situations?
Okay, pros. They're everywhere in urban areas, so they're usually accessible. The engine block offers genuinely good cover if you use it right, and they're great for concealment, breaking line of sight.
Accessible, engine block cover, good concealment. Got it. Cons.
The cons are serious, though. That false sense of security is maybe the biggest danger, thinking the whole car protects you. Limited mobility once you're using it for cover. And that added risk from ricochets.
False security, limited movement, ricochets. It's a mixed bag.
Definitely. Needs careful consideration.
Which ties right into that Valortec philosophy, brain over gear. How does knowing all this about vehicles fit that idea?
Perfectly, really. Brain over gear means your knowledge, your awareness, your mindset are more important than just having equipment. Understanding how a common object like a car really works for cover or concealment. That's pure knowledge application.
It's not about having a special car. It's about knowing how to use any car available.
Exactly. It's about using your brain to leverage the environment effectively, whatever that environment is.
This really drives home why professional training is so important, doesn't it? What does actual hands-on training give you that, listening to us talk about it can't?
It bridges the huge gap between knowing something intellectually and being able to do it under stress.
The practical application.
Yes. Training gives you hands-on practice identifying real cover versus just concealment out there. It teaches you how to move effectively under simulated fire. And crucially, it helps build the mental toughness, the decisiveness you need to function when things get chaotic.
It builds the instincts, maybe.
It builds the skills and the mindset so you can react effectively when seconds count, instead of freezing or making a critical mistake. Theory is one thing, performing under pressure is another.
So the big takeaway here seems to be vehicles can be a tactical advantage, definitely. But you absolutely have to understand their limits, know the difference between cover and concealment.
It's not just diving behind the nearest car door, it's about informed choices based on knowledge and ideally practice through training.
Knowledge gives you clarity.
Yeah.
Preparation gives you the ability to act.
Well put, that's the core of it.
So think about where you are right now, listening to this. How differently do you look at the cars parked outside? How differently do you assess potential cover, potential concealment, not just cars, but everything around you?
What other everyday objects might offer unexpected protection or just a way to stay unseen?
That kind of constant low-level awareness, that proactive thinking, that's really the foundation of being prepared. We really encourage you to look into solid resources on tactical training, on situational awareness, enhance that personal safety knowledge.
It's an investment in yourself, truly. Nothing more important.